Welcome to Body Bag Podcast. I'm your host, Broker Dave, and with me is Chris Thomas.
What's good, everybody?
And today we are duking it out once again.
Another versus battle.
The battle of sequels.
But before we do that, I wanted to ask you something that I've never asked my co-host, and I think any of the 5 seasons that we've been on, I don't think I've ever asked you. How you doing, Dave? How's it going? You doing good?
I'm doing good, yeah.
Yeah. We talk
Doing
after
great, yeah.
we usually talk after, the recordings and stuff like that, but I don't think I've ever asked you on air. You doing all right? You good?
Doing pretty good, yeah. Feeling good.
Good, good. Glad to hear.
Yeah.
I don't know how a lot of other podcasters do it, where they probably like, all right, we record and then like that's it.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for over 2 years now.
Yeah.
I consider you my friend, and I
We're
genuinely
good friends now. We started
yeah
off strangers, became friends, yeah.
yeah it's cool. And as the community grows,
Yeah.
it's just been a fun ride.
It has been, yeah.
Good, glad to hear it. So, but now on to this ass kicking. Now that I know that you're okay,
Yeah. Movie with awful friends.
movie with awful
That's
friends.
both movies. The friends are terrible.
And so this is our genre versus battle,
Yeah.
and it was the battle of the sequels.
Yes.
It was only after, well, first off, the two movies that we pitted against each other, which we already said out loud when we picked. I'm not picking this because I think it's going to win.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there just because.
Yeah, but I feel like there's definitely one I liked a lot more than the other.
And I know this is going to be an interesting matchup
Yeah.
for a couple of reasons. But if I was going to pick one, like for some reason, like I don't know why it didn't occur to me at the time, but I should have picked something out of the Final Destination series.
Final Destination 2 is probably the best Final Destination movie.
It probably is, but I probably would have gone with three just because I think for some reason three.
Well, we sequels we limited it to the second movie in the series, so
Oh, so yeah, I
yeah.
probably would have said Final. I mean, because that one like scarred a generation of people.
Cannot drive behind a truck with logs.
But we didn't do that. We decided to do Friday the 13th Part 2, which was your pick.
Yes, and you chose Terrifier too.
Yeah. We have a entry in a franchise that has been long established, one of the granddaddies of horror, the Friday the 13th series.
Introduced a horror icon in Jason.
And then now and versus Art, who is now becoming he's getting out of cult status, I would think,
It's
and is becoming more
becoming more
mainstream.
mainline. Yeah, I
Uh,
think if Terrifier 3 is big, he'll be considered mainstream.
yeah, I mean he's made it to movie is in the theater status.
Yeah.
All right, so now you introed, you're kind of taking the lead on this. You determine who do you want to go first?
Well, last time my movie went first, so I think we should start off with Terrifier 2 today.
Then, which was my pick for you.
Yes.
Now we did Terrifier back in season 1.
Yeah, what was it, episode 4 or 5?
Yes, and I knew going into this that, I mean, you ain't watching Terrifier for any kind of high concept cinema.
No.
But go ahead and tell me your experience with it. Or break it down, like give the the play by play.
So, Terrifier 2 takes place a year after the ending of the first Terrifier movie, but also like the day after the very end of Terrifier, where the one survivor attacks the newscaster. All this takes place on the next day,
Yes.
and it follows a teenager, Sienna Shaw, played by Lauren Lavera, I believe her name is. She was really good in this movie.
Yeah.
She was the shining part of this movie, I think.
I agree. She has it. Well, anybody who ever comes across Art's gonna have it rough.
Yeah.
I think I pitted her in my who had it worst comparison. It was between her and the Evil Dead Rise survivor.
I would have went with Mia from The Evil Dead in 2013. I think she had it worse than both of them.
Oh yeah, definitely. But but yeah. So now we started back off, and we see our first main character, or the main character.
Yeah, and she has a little brother who's kind of obsessed with serial killers and Art the Clown. Kid's neck is as long as a giraffe.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
I
He
swear
texted
to
me
God,
that.
I saw that. I was like,
This
I
dude's
was
just
like,
begging for a beheading.
right. I was like, why is this next? Jeez, I feel so bad for that kid.
And I think early on we also, before, what happened before or after we see basically Art patching himself up.
Yeah, Art gets resurrected from being killed in the first one, and then he kills the coroner. Goes to the laundromat, washes his clothes, murders the guy in the laundromat, and then puts his clothes back on straight out of the washer. Didn't even dry them.
Something funny about just seeing like a mass killer like that creature just doing laundry, like he was sitting there reading the paper, just
Right.
just sitting there.
And he's seeing this little girl.
Oh yeah,
And I guess the little girl ties back into his appearance in All Hallows Eve.
which I haven't seen. Which maybe
Neither have I, yeah.
we should review that at some point.
I think we talked about going back and watching it because that's where Arthur Clown gets introduced because it's a horror anthology. So
Yeah, and it's not even played by the same actor.
no, is it not?
I know. I believe. Is it? I keep forgetting the name because I know David Howard Thornton. Is he the director or the guy playing?
David Howard Thornton is the guy playing Arthur Clown. Damian Leone is the guy who
Damien
directs
Leone.
it.
I don't. I believe that in All Hallows Eve, it's played by somebody other than David Howard Thornton.
Okay,
It would be interesting. Maybe we'll tackle that at some point.
yeah. And then so Sienna goes to sleep for the night after she finishes up her costume, and she ends up in this weird dream about the clown cafe, which has Arthur Clown in there. Gives her a box of a beating heart and a bunch of maggots, and then he just starts killing everybody in this clown cafe.
Yeah, what did you think of that whole clown cafe?
It was weird. Yeah, it's just weird.
Is that where where Art's in there and there was like a woman playing like the guitar
Yeah,
and it's just
he sets the person to play the guitar on fire, pulls out a Tommy gun, mows everybody down.
sets people on fire.
Yeah, and then Sienna wakes up to her room being on fire. Puts it out.
I think it was
Yeah.
caused by some candles, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, like they show her putting out the candles before she goes to sleep, and then
But her mom thinks that she like had
yeah,
some
left them
candles.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So next day, Sienna goes to school and she's talking about going to a party with her friends, and her brother also goes to like middle school. And just throughout the day, they're kind of being, say, kind of harassed by Arthur Clown.
Just getting harassed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he ran into her at the Halloween shop or whatever shop that she was in.
Yeah, and I think that was like, I think the Halloween shop, it was Laura's like best acting in this movie, where she's just like petrified when Art's just fucking with her.
Art loves doing that. Whether it's like
Yeah.
the pizza shop in the first Terrifier, where he's like sitting across and he's just like being uncomfortable to like just kind of sitting there like sitting next to somebody like off the streets who won't leave you alone.
Yeah.
And now he likes to stalk his prey and just kind of poke at him for a little bit, see if like, yeah, am I gonna follow this one or
Yeah, and she's like so petrified. She's like not even looking up. She quietly is like, "Stop!"
if
And
she
he's
just
talking to horn in her face.
if she just complimented his flower sunglasses that he had on,
Yeah,
then he would have moved on.
and then she gets her angel wings for her costume. She leaves, and then Arthur Clown kills the guy working at the Halloween store.
The dude got it rough.
Yeah, because at first Arthur Clown's like puts his thing on the counter, like he's gonna buy it, pulls out like a trash bag,
Oh yeah.
starts going through it for change.
Oh, yeah. I love he doesn't just like he carries around a trash full of just just a trash
Stuff, yeah.
It's crude but effective. Just a
Yeah.
trash bag full of homemade weapons.
Yeah. And then after that, Arthur Clown goes to one of Sienna's friend's house,
Oh yeah.
acting like a trick-or-treater. And she's like, if I give you candy, you'll go away. He shakes his head, yes. She gives him candy. He leaves, and then he breaks into her house.
Now
This scene was a little much.
this is the one where before I had seen it, like I had heard people when this came into theaters, like it had like it was like notorious for people saying like, oh, people were like throwing up in the aisles and stuff. Like now, whether or not that's true, I don't know. But
Yeah.
if they did, it would have been from this scene.
This scene, yeah.
Because this goes on for quite a bit.
Yeah, he brutalized. He, like, basically skins this girl alive.
Oh, he breaks her arm, rips it
Yeah.
off, skins or scalps her, skins her.
He
This
just-
is yeah.
This is, and this girl's living through all of this.
Oh yeah. None of Art's victims go into shock or anything.
Yeah.
None of them die of blood loss.
Yeah. I believe
And
at one point in time he pulls out salt and pours it on her wounds.
at this point, she has been scalped. He basically skins her back, basically, like
Yeah.
sliced her back up and kind of like skins her back, rips her, just cut her arm off. He like breaks her arm and rips it off, and sliced her face up a little bit. And she is like, at this point, you're like, there's no way this woman is still alive. She is.
Yeah.
She's crawling away because Art just like prances away and comes up, like you said, with salt and bleach
Yeah.
and pours it on her.
Oh god.
That is, yeah.
Yeah.
You watched the first Terrifier movie and you thought that sawing in half scene was pretty rough. They were like, oh, we can do better.
Yeah. And then the mom comes home. She gets killed. And that leaves Sienna with her other friend. Well, they're going to the party. They're like, have you heard from her? No, that's not like her. Oh, well, let's go to the party. Where her friend drugs her with Molly.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I forgot about that scene. Yeah, her friend does drug her with Molly, does she?
Yeah.
Bad friends.
Bad friends. So while this is happening, her brother's at home, and he basically runs out of the house because he's supposed to be grounded. And then Sienna's mom finds her car completely, like, vandalized, and she thinks it's her son who did it.
Yeah, this mom is just angry.
Yeah.
Like, all the time.
And then she looks into the car, and you see Art with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Just blows her head off.
If I was what's her Sienna's friend and stuff like that, I was like, how come she just gets a shot to the face? How come I had to get tortured
Right.
for a half hour? How come
Yeah.
you couldn't have just blown my head? I gave you candy.
Yeah. And this kind of goes into a movie that kind of lost me because it's like only like half explained
Yeah.
what Art's obsession with Sienna is.
Yeah.
Because in the first one, those two girls just happened to.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah. But in this movie, he's actively hunting Sienna.
And you could tell they were getting like, allegorical and metaphorical with like the angel wings and the like you feel like you're watching this like, all right, I feel like you guys are trying to tell me something. Why are you guys trying to be deep?
Yeah, and the only reason they explained Art's like obsession with Sienna is that their dad, before he died, saw it in his dreams that she's gonna kill him.
That's it.
That's it. That's the only explanation you get.
Maybe they're setting up for Terrifier 3.
Maybe. And then we get basically Sienna freaks out at the party and they're going home.
Mm-hmm.
Art the Clown abducts her brother.
Yeah, he does.
Uses him to lure Sienna to the amusement park where All Hallows Eve takes place. And that leads us into an extremely long third act.
Yeah,
it was so fucking long, dude.
And it's not like nothing is happening. I mean, there's chasing and there's like, people getting like hurt and all that stuff like that. But the third act definitely felt like, all right, man, this is like
they could have cut like 15 to 20 minutes off of it and it would have probably been better.
Yeah.
Because the third act is just Sienna gets beat up, runs away. Sienna gets beat up, runs away.
Art chases her. And like
Sienna gets thrown down to a pit. Then she comes out of the pit, kills him.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like at least 10 minutes could have been like cut of this. At this point, it's like, all right, we know what you're capable of here. Like
we get it. You're a brutalizing force, but this is just
by this point in the thing, you had already pulled out your gun, dude. Like in the last movie.
Like it wasn't even like it was like too much gore or anything. It's just like
because we had already
move this story the fuck along, man.
We had already had the big gore scene earlier in the movie. Like, I think once you saw that, you're like, all right, there's, like, that's probably about as gory as it's going to get. And it pretty much was. So, around by the third act going, like, all right, are they going to top that? They don't, really.
No, it's just an extremely long game of cat and mouse.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think the original Halloween, the third act between Laurie and Michael, was, like, half as long as this one.
And it was a lot more tension building.
Yeah.
Like, Halloween did it where you could be like, all right, I really hope that Laurie doesn't get found.
Yeah.
Like, this one, it's like, yeah, Sienna, Shaw is cool and everything, but like, we can move this along.
Like, come on, get the show on the road. Because he would just, like, brutalize her and then walk away. Or, like, throw her through a wall or something. And then she'd get up and go and try to save her brother again. Get beat up again.
Maybe get one quick lucky shot in and then run away.
Yeah. That was probably the worst part of the movie for me. Because after a while, I'm like, all right, I'm kind of over this.
Yeah, I think maybe if they were to have saved that that big scene for the third act. Maybe
Yeah.
not for Shaw, but but to move it
One of her
closer towards.
friends, yeah, that came
Then
to amusement park with her, yeah.
that would have been more like, okay, like that would have woken you up a little. Oh wait, did you already mention about the dude stabbed in the penis?
Uh, yeah, leading into the third act, like Sienna's getting taken home by a friend and her like creepy older boyfriend, and they get to the amusement park. Her friend stays in the car, and so's the creepy old boyfriend. They don't go with her. They just let her walk into a abandoned amusement park by herself.
Bad friends.
Bad friends. And then, yeah, the boyfriend goes to take a piss outside the car. Art starts stabbing him in the dick
Multiple times.
multiple times.
He did. It's not. That wasn't a one and done thing. That dude,
No.
like, you should have. You should have kept your dick in your pants. Like,
Yeah,
Art doesn't like that. Art doesn't appreciate that.
no. And then he kills her friend. And then he starts going back to the park after Sienna.
Yeah, that leading in cat and mouse thing.
Yeah.
Which he said lasts for about 15, 20 minutes, and then she eventually,
Yeah.
and she and then come back.
Yeah, she kind of like gets thrown down to this pit, like symbolizing get thrown down into hell.
But she has those angel wings.
And then she rises out of it and kills him. Yeah.
And then, did you see like the was it post or mid credit scene?
Was there a post credit scene?
I believe so, where the woman in the insane asylum is like I think it's it's been a while, but I think I have it right here. In a mid credit scene, the institutionalized Victoria, the one who got brutalized, is throwing up before writing Vicky plus Art and obscenities on the wall with her blood. Then she gives birth to Art's living head,
Okay.
and then nurse comes by and screams bloody murder.
I did not see that.
Well, now you have to rewatch it. That adds a whole new layer to the to the story.
That's where I'm going to lead into Terrifier 3, then Terrifier
Gives
2.
birth to Art's head.
After Art gets decapitated by Sienna.
Do you get it? Do you get the metaphor? Because I don't.
I really don't understand the point of the little girl either.
Again, if you said it's something that has to do with like the first one, then again, that's even more reason for us to review All Hallows Eve at some point.
Yeah, she was just there for most
I thought it
of the
was
movie.
just like, I don't know, showing that Art is super crazy. I don't know.
But Art wasn't the only one seeing her.
Oh, so
Sienna and her brother were also seeing her.
Oh, that's right. Because at first when I saw her, I was like, because you see her at the laundromat,
Yeah.
and you just think, oh, okay, he's crazy and he has like delusions and stuff like that. But it's like, no, she's there.
Only 3 people could see her, though.
Maybe she'll play more of a part in that, and or is she going to join in on the torture or something? But
Yeah.
no, not really.
No.
What does it mean?
Right. It was just a weird movie.
I mean,
Not quite where I would have thought, they would take in Terrifier 2, but
I don't like when I first saw.
I'm not, like, mad at it. But
When I saw the first Terrifier, I didn't really know. All right, you make a sequel. I mean, you're not watching Terrifier for story anyway.
yeah.
You're watching it to like if you're into like torture porn or you like you like bloody fun,
Yeah.
and you watch it for like just if you're a fan of like just Art the Clown in general,
Yeah.
and just to have kind of like ridiculous scene. You want to break it down, or you want to do kill the thing first?
We could do Kill. Let's see.
You got plenty to choose.
Yeah.
Art does not leave you wanting in that category.
Now, I'm gonna go with like the first Kill movie where he just basically beats the coroner with a little metal mallet to death.
And takes his eye.
Yeah. Puts it in his eye socket like, ooh.
Because he still had it. Because he still had his eye missing from the
First one, yeah.
From the first one, yeah. So, all right, that's cool. And it kind of introduced you, like, all right, this is the kind of movie you're in for.
Yeah.
Break it down for us, Dave.
Are you gonna give us your kill of the movie?
I don't know. Kind of hesitant to give it to. I don't know her name, but I mean that long sequence is pretty long. I mean, they knew when they were shooting. All right, this is what a lot of people are gonna
Remember. Yeah.
remember. And to that one, screw it. I'll give it to it anyway.
Okay.
Just because that one definitely required the most amount of effort to make.
Yeah.
Most amount of prosthetics, even though like it gets pretty comical and ridiculous by the time that he rips her arm off, because it's just like, all right, this woman would have been dead by now.
Right.
It prances away and comes bleach. I was like, all right, man, now you're just getting ridiculous with this. Like
Now you're just being a dick.
now you're just being a dick, man. Like,
Yeah.
let this woman die, please.
Right.
I'll give it to them.
All right.
All right.
Because like even in the
Yeah.
first one, when he like brutalized the girl, and she was like,
Got sawed in
and
half.
no, not her, like her friend who got brutalized, and she was like slowly crawling away.
Oh,
Art
yeah, yeah.
Mercy killed her with a gun. He just pulled out a gun and shot her in the head.
Though I think the memorable death in that one was the saw it in half scene.
Oh, definitely, yeah,
But I mean, that one was quick compared to what this woman
yeah,
went through.
exactly.
That woman probably died by the time he got to her midsection, he would have already got her heart. So she was dead before he got to the head.
Yeah.
So not so with the
So time for the score.
technicals.
Technicals, I think it's shot pretty well. I'm gonna give it a 7.
Okay, 7 on the old tech.
What are you gonna give it?
Oh, honesty, I kind of forgot that I had to score mine too. Um, uh, I might have to say 7 as well, just because the scenes, some of the scenes might not make any sense, but at least they're shot artistically.
Yeah.
No CG.
No.
Maybe some in the fire, maybe some fire, but I mean, that is one thing that you can definitely say about the Terrifier series is that they put a lot of effort into the practical effects,
Yeah, which is nice.
and that's right up my alley.
Yeah.
So even when I'm watching the people getting tortured and stuff like that, I watch it A, going like, all right, I'm watching that, but B, I'm like, oh man, that took a lot of probably work to like, do this and make it look like this. And plus,
Yeah.
it looks like the kind of stuff that probably after they get finished filming, they're just sitting there all bloody looking and just kind of like laugh and be like,
Right.
look at this. Story.
Story, it's a weird story. I'm gonna give it a 6.
Okay. I'm actually going to give it a 5. I'll give it lower. Because, all honesty, you're not really watching it for the story.
No.
So for what the story is, I mean, it's not hard to follow. I mean, at some points there's like, all right, is that supposed to mean something? But
Yeah, and then you're not really sure about the end what meant what.
yeah, you're not really sure what meant what. So I'll go lower just because I'm like, all right, the story ain't this movie's strongest suit.
Yeah, I gave it an extra point because it tried to step outside the box a little bit.
It tried to be more than what the first one was,
Yeah,
and you can definitely tell that they're trying to set up something.
yeah. So maybe these scores will go up once Terrifier 3 comes up.
Yeah, maybe once third, you'd be like, oh, okay, so that's what the little girl meant, and that's
Yeah.
why he's seeing visions of Sienna. Enjoyment.
Enjoyment. I think I'm also going to give it a 6. Like, I really enjoyed Lauren Lavera's portrayal of Sienna. This movie's just too goddamn long for the type of movie it is. It
Yeah,
really takes you out of it at times, yeah.
and I'm gonna give it that same score because you gave it a 6.
Yeah,
I give it a 6 too. I mean, it's not a movie that I'm gonna go out of my way to watch again.
no.
But neither is the first Terrifier. As much as I can appreciate the practical effects and how ridiculous it can get, it hasn't reached the status for me of, well, I'm gonna be watching this every Halloween.
No.
So for me, it's gonna be 6. Like if it's on, I'll be like, all right, whatever. But
Check it out, yeah.
but I'm not gonna like go looking.
So 766 is 19. You went 756 is 18. So Terrifier 2 gets a total 18.5.
That's cool. Again, what I forgot that I had to score my own,
Yeah.
and they're thinking, all right, well, it's gonna be whatever. This was our kind of whatever pick anyway. So
Yeah.
we're going to move
Right.
to something that more people probably are familiar with.
Now we are moving to Friday the 13th, Part 2.
Friday the 13th.
It came out in 1980.
Let's get sexy, because I will say this right off the bat, and I texted you. I said, "Man, this movie is horny. This movie is horny."
But that's 80s
I know.
movies.
I
Yeah,
know.
that's
I'm
just the time.
I'm not counting the movie any points against it being horny
Yeah.
because it is a 80s camp thing with counselors, and the counselors are going to be horny like teens.
Yeah.
They're exactly the people that Jason hates. I mean,
Exactly.
it's the people that his mother killed in the first one, and they're doing the exact same thing.
Yeah. You know, maybe if they spent 3 minutes in a hot tub swirling around each other, he wouldn't kill
You know, that's got to be our one of our next re-reviews.
him. That was Madman Marks, yeah.
That was Madman, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that one was from the Versus, the Burning versus Madman.
Yeah.
God, that seems so awkward, but yeah.
So this movie, following, I believe it's, isn't it like a year? Well, the very beginning, is it like a year after the events of the first one?
According to the beginning, when you see the survivor of
Alice, I think her name is.
Alice from the first one, That's 2 months after
Oh,
what
it's 2 months.
happens.
Oh, so
Yeah,
it's less than a year. And then later on, it's 5 years later.
yeah.
So 2 months after the events of Camp Crystal Lake,
Which
Pamela.
they do kind of like an '80s things where the beginning like 15 minutes of this movie is just a recap of the first movie.
Yeah, I was about to say that she's like having nightmares, which I used to be plagued with nightmares back in the day, but it's funny how in movies, whenever someone's having a nightmare, they toss and turn violently and will speak, and they're just like, no, no, no.
Yeah,
I'm fairly certain that I've had like nightmares, and I don't know. I've never watched an actual person having nightmares, but
yeah.
I always find it funny when people are like, no, no, and it's anyway, it's the exact same scenes of what happened in the first Friday the 13th. She wakes up from her nightmare. We basically, in case you hadn't seen the first one, it was Jason's mother
Yeah.
killed the camp counselors for not watching Jason, and he drowned to death.
And these are a different batch of camp counselors than her son died, because in the original one, Jason dies like 20 years before she comes and kills all these camp counselors.
Which is like unfair.
Yeah, yeah,
So she wakes up and she's kind of going about her day. She gets a call from her mom. Her mom's worried about her, and I will say the beginning 15 minutes after the dream sequence is some actual legit tension building.
yeah,
You see that like you can tell that somebody is stalking her.
yeah,
We even saw somebody's kind of approaching the house at one point, and she like because it's the 80s, she has to change real quick. Like she throws her clothes off to the side. Does she throw her clothes off to the side before she goes to the shower? But she goes
yeah,
to the
I think
shower,
so, yeah,
which is weird because she throws her clothes off to the side and then puts a robe on and then goes to the shower, which is very weird. And she's walking about the house and everything like that, and you're just like, all right, when's it gonna happen? We get a jump scare, a fake out jump scare from a cat, and then she opens up her refrigerator door, and lo and behold, Jason's Pamela Voorhees' severed head is in there.
yeah.
And then she gets grabbed from behind and stabbed, and then the most basic intro credits you've ever seen, just plain white text against black screen with music playing for like 5 minutes.
I'm pretty sure that's like the way they do it for like the first 4 movies in the series.
Just plain text over
Or black screen, yeah.
So now, after the title sequence, it's 5 years later, and Camp Crystal Lake is officially starting to kind of reopen.
It has a new owner who plans on revamping it.
It's been 5 years. It's like, all right, past is the past. Let's.
Pam's dead. We got nothing to worry about.
Although the legend of Jason is kind of around, just like a campfire story of like, and his mother died, and the little boy Jason stalks the fields like that. Which they said it's 5 years later, and they said he'd be a grown man by now. How old was Jason when he drowned?
Well, he drowned, and then the events of the first one take place 20 years later. So he should be a full-grown man. Yeah,
that's right. Because in my mind, I was like, 5 years later, you wouldn't be a full-grown man. That's right. He would be a full-grown man. We get Jeff and Sandra, who are driving down to. They're going to be some of the camp counselors. They're going for orientation, and they're meeting up with some friends of theirs who they're all getting together for Camp Crystal open yet. They're doing their orientation and making sure they're physically fit to the job and blah blah blah. Oh, and Crazy Ralph is here.
Crazy Ralph is back. Yeah,
Crazy Ralph is back, and he's like, "All right, you guys
they didn't listen to me last time.
You all are gonna die." Thanks, Ralph.
Yeah, that's cool, Ralph. Get the fuck out of here.
They did a little fake out thing where the guy was pretending to tow the guy's car, but it was just
his friend played a prank on him.
Friend played a prank, and now they're all gathered down to for the beginning orientation, and
then our final girl pulls up.
Ginny, if I'm not mistaken.
In a beat up car, yeah, Ginny,
and she's banging the head counselor dude.
Yeah, the guy who's running the camp.
Everybody's banging everybody in this thing.
Yeah,
and if they're not banging each other, they're like being pervy and like watch. Like there's this one woman who they specifically hired because she was willing to go full topless, full nude, wear no bras and wear tight shirts and stuff like that. And there's always this one creep that's constantly like trying to he has a slingshot where he's always watching her jog. He's like slingshotting her ass and like trying to watch her while she's like skinny dipping out in the other. Like the dude's a creep. And she was definitely just hired because of she has no problem getting naked, I imagine.
And then one of the counselors is in a wheelchair, so oh, he's getting fucked up.
Oh yeah, he can't run. Yeah,
Yeah.
that and
Like the minute you see him, you're like, oh, his death's gonna be bad.
this dude's yeah. I already feel bad for the dude. And but I'll get to that part in a minute. After the beginning orientation, it gets nighttime. They have a big they gather around a campfire, which we, in case you didn't catch it from the first one, we catch the first 15 minutes. We get another recap of what happened in the first movie.
Yeah, we get yeah.
Which is funny that they feel the need.
The,
They did.
the legend of Jason. They kind of tell in the story. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, we know. We already did it in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, we did the recap, and now you're recapping the recap. Oh, and then I wrote in my notes here. I love how the 80s were just so horny because, like, the next day, people are doing, like, physical activities, like they're doing jogging and stuff like that, and it's just a zoom in right on this woman's butt. Just,
Yeah.
The that doesn't care about getting naked, and the guy slingshot in her butt, and she's like, "Stop it!" And she's like that, where she's not really going to like take any kind of like action like against people like doing that. Now, come on, Jason, or not, or come on, Jeff, or whatever the guy's name is. Come on, now, stop it. I'm getting annoyed here. Which, yeah, are you really though? Everybody gets settled in. The horny counselors pair up with sleeping with, and Crazy Ralph gets strangled to death.
Yeah.
Crazy Ralph is just kind of stalking the area, and then he gets garroted with a garrote, gets strangled to death.
I feel like in this movie, like we already know it's Jason.
Yeah, but they have.
But I feel like they're trying to do like a keep like the whodunit they had in the first one.
Yeah, because they keep saying the legend of Jason, but they never show who's killing like people.
Yeah.
Like Crazy Ralph gets killed first. Oh well, no, Alice gets killed first in the very beginning.
Yeah.
And then Crazy Ralph gets it. So next day, Jeff and Sandra, who were the first two counselors that we see, they sneak off to the actual Crystal Lake because I think that this camp is like off
on the same lake, but it's further down like the coast.
Yeah, it's not technically Crystal Lake. It's kind of further up the river from Crystal Lake, and they go to the original Crystal Lake because they're got to see where the legend took place and all that.
Yeah, want to go see it all.
And I guess it was wardened off because a cop catches them like out there. I guess they weren't supposed to be out there.
Yeah, I think everything's like shut down.
Yeah, and they get returned back to the counselor. I forget the guy's name, the guy who's heading everything. Do you remember the one who Jenny's sleeping
Paul.
with? Paul?
Yeah, it's Paul.
So yeah, the cop is like, "Are you gonna reprimand him?" And Paul's just like, "Nah." Mm-hmm. He doesn't care. But his reprimand basically is later that night. It's like their last night to be able to go out into the town and enjoy themselves before the. I don't know if it's before the start of camp or if it's because you get one more night and then it's going to be straight training for like a week. So
I think it's like one more night and then the kids are supposed to start coming in.
So everybody gets one last chance to go out and do whatever they want, have a night on the town. But Jeff and Susan have to stay and kind of man the area because they went off, and so does Wheelchair Man and the girl that's digging on him.
Yeah.
And Pervy Man and No Bra Chick. All of them are basically, and Paul and Jenny are all basically sticking around at the camp.
No, Paul and Jenny go out.
Paul and Jenny go out. They come back later, though.
Yeah, they go out with...
They go out with the other people.
There's like only one that went out with them, and they kind of leave him at the bar, too, so...
Yeah.
That's how that guy survives.
That guy survived by being an alcoholic.
Yeah, because they're like, we're heading back now. He's I will stay out. They're like, okay.
Hey, he's trying to enjoy. He gets one night on the town. He's going to enjoy it.
Exactly. Saved his life.
All right, so now is the portion where the
mysterious
Yes, where the mysterious killer, which we know is Jason, is going around killing everybody. You have killings such as Pervy Man, who was spying on skinny dipping. He gets caught in a trap and is hung upside down. Jason slits his throat. No Bra Chick gets off. We have, at one point, some of the counselors are hooking up. Some of them go upstairs.
Yeah.
Wheelchair Man and the girl who's digging on him, they're making out, and then she goes off. He gets a machete to the head, and
Yeah, because
thrown
she's
down the
like
stairs.
it's taking a while for her to come out. So he rolls outside. It's raining, machete to the face, and then he just rolls down the longest flight of stairs ever.
Yeah, where'd that come from?
Right? He's rolling down them for like seconds. Like, oh man.
Like, because if it's one thing that is well established in the Friday the 13th
Yeah.
series, Jason does not like premarital sex.
No.
It triggers. It is his biggest trigger. You do that, you dying.
Yeah.
Even if you thinking about doing it, you dying. Because the wheelchair man doesn't even get to have sex. He's about to though.
No.
Like she's because she even asked him, does everything still
Yeah.
work or is it just your legs? And he's like, I do okay. So she's getting ready, getting.
Yeah.
You could have let my man get a little bit before he like died.
Nope.
I mean,
He got machete to the face.
because Jeff and Susan, they're in the middle of the deed.
Yeah.
And they get arrowed, pierced through each other.
Ah, that was rough.
That's rough because, you ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's a slow death. You're bleeding out. Especially if her, because she sees, like at the last minute, somebody stabbing. And you, like, can you imagine if you survive? Like, if you're alive after that stab thing, you have, like, this dead body on top of you. And you're just slowly bleeding out.
You're just stuck there, yeah.
You're stuck. I said, I am in no way. What did I say? I said that poor woman who keeps having that dude slingshotting her ass is spying on her skinny dipping. I said, I'm in no way blaming her, but at the same time, you're in a group of horny dudes running around with no bra, ass, booty shorts, and it's the 80s.
Yeah.
It's the 80s. That just spells disaster in a horror movie.
Absolutely, yep.
Jason hates nudity.
Yeah.
Jenny and Paul come back.
And everyone's dead.
And you know how, everyone's dead. Paul gets kind of like knocked out. And what ensues is this movie's cat and mouse scene.
Yeah. Jason kind of, puts the bodies places and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a practical jokester.
Yeah.
He doesn't like to just leave the bodies where they are. He likes people to find them.
And this chase leads to, like, where he's been staying.
Oh, I forgot to mention that after the cop, earlier in the movie, after he got Jeff and Susan and brought them back to the camp where Paul is, and Paul doesn't he leaves and comes across just some figure darting across like the road into where the Crystal Lake woods are, and he proceeds to chase him, and he comes across this abandoned shack and goes inside. Doesn't call for backup. But
Nope.
he goes in the shed or shack. He's looking around. He opens this door, and he's just like, "Oh my god!" You don't see what's in there, and then Jason hammers his head, kills him.
Yeah.
The reason I bring that up is because we eventually get back to that same shed.
Yeah. She opens up and sees kind of like
Yeah, Jenny,
a shrine to Pan Voorhees.
a shrine to Pam Voorhees of Bob and her severed head on top of the shrine. Jenny, I don't know how she made it back. I don't know how she got all the way to the to that shack, because that police officer had to drive a little ways and then run through the forest.
Yeah, I don't know, but she made it there.
She made it there, and what ensues is one of the most questionable scenes probably in the entire Friday the 13th franchise. And at this point we see Jason, and it's classic bag face Jason. He has a burlap sack over his head.
You don't see his face; you just see the burlap sack.
I dig the look.
Yeah,
I like burlap sack face Jason.
yeah,
Jason busts in the shack, and I don't know what possesses Jenny to be like, to pretend to be Pamela Voorhees talking to Jason from beyond the grave, saying, "Jason, you're okay, Jason. You're dead well, son. Oh, you made mommy very happy, son. Now come over here, son." And in Jason's mind, he's like seeing his mother.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how that all works, but it happens.
Well, while they're in the bar, they're talking about it.
I know that he has the mentality of a...
Jason was a kid. He was isolated from everybody else, so he doesn't know what death is. So he's just waiting for his mother to come back.
And he has the mentality of like a child kind of thing, is what they... I get that, but it's like, it's just very weird. It just kind of comes out of like the way it happens, you see it, and you're like, well, that wouldn't have even crossed my mind as something to do.
Well, Jenny kind of sees it. I kind of look like Pamela, so maybe I could trick this guy.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But she kind of gets him to kneel down, and she's about to like either bludgeon him or machete him to death. He snaps out of it, and then Paul
knocks him out.
Paul comes in. Paul comes in and basically rescues him.
And then they see his face, but we don't. And they're just kind of like, ew, that's gross.
Ew. Paul, but they basically incapacitate him, and Paul carries Ginny out. And does he carry her to the camp?
Yeah, back to the camp.
Back to the camp, and trying to mend her wounds. But
Jason attacks. That's a burlap sack now.
And we see Jason face.
Yeah,
which is this disfigured looking face, and grabs Ginny, slow motion. And I guess she blacks out because the scene is her in a ambulance, and she's like, "Where's Paul?" So we don't know what happened to Paul. No. I guess we don't also know what happened to Jason either, because we just see him attack her, and then she wakes up in an ambulance.
Yeah.
And then the ambulance drives off, and that's the end of the movie.
Yeah. And for those wondering why he has a burlap sack, he gets his signature hockey mask in part 3.
Yeah. And the first
throwing that out there.
Yeah, we don't
his signature look he doesn't get till part 3.
Yes. He doesn't start sporting that hockey mask until later. But I will say I do like the burlap sack look. I think it's creepy.
I enjoy it. Yeah.
All right, so I guess I'll do quick kill of the movie, which I have plenty to choose from.
Oh yeah, a lot of deaths in those two movies.
A lot of deaths. You know what I'm gonna give it to? I'm gonna give it to his name, the dude who got upside down throat slit, because that dude deserved it.
Yeah,
that dude was a perv like the entire movie, and was like sitting there spying on like no bra chick, like skinny dipping, like pestering her, trying to like slingshotting her ass and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, the entire time I'm thinking, dude, is this like you're hitting on her technique? Because
his way of flirting.
Is this what your way of flirting? Like just being a pest and a perv? Like
I guess different times.
But he gets upside down, and then he gets his throat slit. So I mean, I'm not saying anybody deserves to die, but I'm just saying that one was like, all right, well, that dude's out of here at least.
Probably go with the wheelchair guy.
Yeah, that's like you said, the staircase, which came out of nowhere. Which
you don't see that staircase anywhere else in this movie except for that scene.
Which, if you're gonna have a counselor who has a wheelchair, that's the place to have that long staircase anyway. Like, there's none of these places are ramp friendly either.
No.
But I mean, I'm not saying you can't be a camp counselor. I'm just saying, like, it looks like they took like no precautions for their wheelchair bound counselor.
Yeah.
But whatever. It was the 80s. Maybe things were different back then.
Back in the 80s, yeah.
All
Good
right.
times.
So technicals. What's funny about I never look at the scores before I score these, and then I look and see what Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
So I compare, but I never do it beforehand. Yeah. Technicals. Given that this is a 80s slasher, I gave technicals a 5.
5?
I gave the 5. It was pretty much, I'm going to say this a couple of times, a run-of-the-mill slasher. This is a camp counselor slasher movie. What happened in the first one is basically happening in this one. I mean, I will say that the beginning had some actual genuine tension building.
Yeah.
In the first 15 minutes, and the kills were pretty, pretty decent.
Yeah.
I mean, when you go to watch a slasher movie like this, part of the fun is watching like how is this person gonna get slashed? What different ways.
That's why I gave the technicals a 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said it's competent, and there's some genuine thing. Now story between a 4.
See, I'm at a 7 because this story introduces a horror icon. It starts something that's still relevant to today.
Yes, but to know that, I'm trying to go into this thinking like not knowing what we know now of what stuff is going to eventually become.
Yeah, true.
I'm going to say I'm going to change technicals to 5.5, and I'm going to give story a 4.5. However, I will say for enjoyment, I will give it a 7.
7?
I will give the enjoyment a 7 because it gave me a lot of nostalgia. This is the exact kind of movie that me and my friends would kind of watch back when I was a teenager every Friday night. It is the exact kind of movie I'm expecting. for a camp slasher, where it would be the kind of movie where we would watch it and then we would start taking bets. All right, I think this person's going to die. I think that person's going to live. Or the way we would do it is we would go, all right, pick your guy, and that's going to be you in the movie. And then when your guy inevitably gets killed, you're like, oh man, I got fucking I got an arrow to the face. Damn. We would just kind of like pretend person in the thing. It just brought me, it caught me on a good day because it just brought me back to some nostalgia, and it's just a classic.
It's Friday the 13th. Yeah. I feel it. I gotta say, this is probably my second or third favorite in the franchise. So enjoyment, like I watch this movie pretty regularly. So I went with 8, and so you went 5.5, 4.5, and 7.
Yeah.
So total 16. I went 6, 6, 8 for a total of 20. Average score of 18.
So do we have a tie?
No, Terrifier 2 got 18.5.
Oh, I thought we
half point.
I thought we tied.
No, half point. Terrifier 2 won.
And when I compared it to Rotten Tomatoes, we're still very generous because this got like a. Let me look at it right now, actually, because it's not high.
No, Rotten Tomatoes is. I don't like the ratings at all.
Well, let me see what it comparatively is. Friday the 13th Part 2 is a 29 on the Rotten Tomato meter, with the audience score being 48.
See, I listened to the audience score more than like the.
Because I think that we also because I gave it, the story. It's kind of also hard because, like I said, we know what Jason is eventually going to become, and it's also kind of why. When it comes to these movies, they're not going to be like super high for me in terms of story, just because they're slashers. I mean, they're going to. Exactly. I'm not watching it for story, especially sequels, because a lot of sequels do the exact same thing that the first one did. So kind of like Terrifier basically did the same. Well, I mean, kind of like you said, they did try to branch out a little bit. But I gave it lower just because I was like, it's not. Yeah. But I did enjoy it though. But that's again, this is also cool because we're gonna be extra generous just because we know what bad movies are. We've seen bad movies.
We've seen some terrible.
And I mean, we just re-reviewed the Venom movie, and at least.
Oh, God. Yeah.
At least with that one, like they had better scores than what it was last time, but at the same time, I didn't enjoy watching it.
Not at all. That was awful.
And so I enjoy a good 80s slasher with its cheese and all. like when you said, I said, man, this movie is horny. You were like, yeah, it's the 80s. I was like, exactly. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying this movie is horny. Any chance you get, there's going to be a naked woman or a close-up of some breasts or some ass or a guy peeping in or a person changing. I mean, half the movie is them all hooking up with each other and then just getting hacked to death.
Basically.
But I had fun watching it.
Yeah. All right, time to find out what our next one is going to be.
I honestly thought that you were going to win that one. I didn't think you were going to give Terrifier a decent score because I was like, yeah, it's kind of like, it was just kind of a whatever, I just wanted to throw it out there kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
it's a decent movie.
But by 0.5, I mean, that's a very close margin, though.
Yeah, very close.
So let me go ahead and bust out that is, we've done holiday, we've done post-apocalyptic, and now we've done sequel, and I'm just edging it out by just a hair.
Yeah. Let's see what part.
Turn this. All right, here we go. Can't do that one. That was holiday again. Mad Scientist.
Mad Scientist?
I have one in mind. I'm just trying to think if I can think of one better. We did a top 10. I'm going to do one that we haven't done before. Reanimator.
You said Reanimator?
That's a good one to review. That's a classic.
I'm going to go with The Fly.
Reanimator versus... Oh, damn, that's a good... Why didn't I do The Fly? That was in my top... That was actually in my top 10.
With Jeff Goldblum.
And we'll do that versus Reanimator. That'll be actually a pretty decent matchup.
Both of them. I haven't seen either one of these movies.
I've seen both. It was going to be between that and Now Coming to Mind. It might not be better, but it would have been an interesting one. Was going to be Splice. But that's cool, though. Reanimator versus The Fly. So you're going to be in for a... that should have been like your homework or something. If had I known you've never seen The Fly, I could have given you that for homework. and I would have been... I needed a win for... But that's for another thing.
Well, thank you all for listening. Hope you have a great week.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to Body Bag Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave us a comment as to what you'd like to hear us review or any horror movie topics you'd like to hear us rant and rave about.
And while you're at it, you can find us on Twitter at BodyBagPod and on Instagram at BodyBagPodcast.
Thanks, and we'll see you next time.